I sound like a prepubescent boy going through puberty for this whole video. You're absolutely kidding me. Hey guys, what's up? It's Belle. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hello, and if you've come back, thank you so much. Today, you guys, we are doing a video that I made probably 3 or 4 months ago. I originated this back in November, and I was sort of like thinking about what we could do for today, and I thought, why don't we do part 2, considering not only you guys love this so much, but the entire internet loved this and decided to give it a try. So I'm glad that it sort of ended up doing really well. So today, you guys, we are back for part 2 of reread, rewrite, or burn. So if you are new or you haven't seen my first video, go and check that out. It's really fun. But basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull 3 books out of this jar. This is basically all of the books that I have read. I'm going to basically pit them up against each other and decide which one I would like to reread, which one I would like to rewrite, and which one I would like to burn. If you guys saw the last one, it can be sort of difficult sometimes to do that. As I was trying to say in the intro before I spilt my vitamin C all over the bed, excuse my voice, I have come down with the absolute worst cold over the weekend. I went out partying for one of my friend's birthdays and my voice is just like this and I'm super congested and nasally, so apologies in advance, but a girl's gonna do what she's gonna do. So I'm thinking we're gonna do 8 rounds of this maybe. That's how many I did last time and you guys seem to like that. So let's just, let's hop straight on in. So let's get comfy, let's get cozy, and let's get right on into the video. I'm nervous. Since I made this little jar back in November or whenever it was, I've added all the titles that I've read since then. So I'm gonna try and get a nice big dig in here. All right, 1, 2, 3. All right, so first up we have The Striker by Anna Huang. This looks like a new one. We have Book Lovers by Emily Henry. And we have, Ignite Me by Tahera Murphy. Let me go grab them, I'll be back. So we have our 3 books here. I think the first one we pulled was The Striker. So The Striker is a sports romance. It's actually Anna Huang's like sports romance debut. It's between an ex-prima ballerina and a football player. They're essentially in this like forced proximity. Basically, he gets into like a little bit of an altercation with one of his teammates, and as punishment, the captain makes both of them go and do like ballet training over the summer off, like the season off, so that they can work on their agility. However, the ballerina that they are working with is his rival's sister, so it's a little bit of fun there. Then we have Book Lovers by Emily Henry, which actually is one that I read a couple of weeks ago now. This one follows Nora and Charlie. Nora is a literary agent and Charlie is an editor, and essentially they both end up in the same small town for a little holiday, and the book sort of goes from there. I actually really enjoyed this book. And then we have Ignite Me by Tahera Murphy. Now, this is the 3rd book in the Shatter Me series, so I can't really tell you too much about this one in particular. Just as a general consensus, this one is actually probably the most popular in the series, I would say, online. So let me see. I would reread Book Lovers by Emily Henry. This one's probably my favorite book that I've read by her so far. I've only read 3 and I'm reading them in like publication order. I just feel like I related to this one so much. Nora, the female main character, is super interesting because she sort of always says that she is the girl that always gets left, like the mean girl who always gets left by the male main character. You know, she's like the mean girlfriend or whatever, which is really cool. So I definitely reread this one because I just loved it. I would rewrite Ignite Me. I've said this a few times, but the book before this is called Unravel Me, and I think that is the best book in the whole series. I think this one, it's like that thing when you're in a series where the couple's together and it's kind of boring, so I kind of just needed more high stakes. And then I think I would burn The Striker by Anna Huang. I know that's like, I wouldn't really burn this in real life, but it's probably out of the 3, the one that I enjoyed the least. It was fun. We could definitely have shaved about 200 pages off of this book. It did not need to be that long. I still enjoyed it, but if I had to burn one out of the 3, it would be this one. Alrighty, round 2. Oh, we had 1 fallout. Looks like one I did today, which is kind of fun. 2. Get one from the bottom. Let's see if I can get one from the bottom. There we go, 3. All right, so first one is Insurgent. That's such a random one. Then we had Lights Out by Nevessa Allen and Catching Fire. It's so funny that we got 2 that are like from the olden, not the olden days, but older reads. Very, very strange mix. Let me grab them. This one is such an odd little combo. So we had Insurgent by Veronica Roth. Now this is part of the Divergent series. It's the 2nd book, sorry. So it's in the middle. I'm gonna be so honest with you guys. I read this as a child, like when I was like 12 or 13. So I don't remember it too vividly, but I can't again tell you what this one's about because it is the second book in a series. We pulled Lights Out by Nevessa Allen. This one's really interesting. I also read this one this month, funnily enough. This is about one of those like masked thirst trap TikTok guys and a like trauma ward nurse, and basically like she loves his videos. She used to date this guy's roommate, and then this guy ends up finding out that she loves his videos and like low-key starts stalking her. But it is just so funny and so unhinged. I was so surprised by this book. And then we have Catching Fire, which is the second book in the Hunger Games trilogy. This is one of my favorite books of all time, actually. I would love to do a reread of this series, especially with Hamish's book coming out soon. Again, can't tell you what the plot is in case you guys haven't read it yet, but this one definitely holds a very, very, very special spot in my heart. Okay, I'll reread the Hunger Games because obviously this one is just like something that is embedded into my soul, into my DNA. I wish I could read it again for the very first time, like not having known, I guess, how it's going to go and how it's going to end. It just holds a lot of great nostalgia for me. I would rewrite Lights Out a tiny bit. I talked about this a little bit, I think, on TikTok. I loved this book so much. It was a 4.75 stars. It would have been a 5-star if the plot, I guess, like the actual plot and the conflict that happens towards the end of this book could somehow have bled into a sequel. I actually think like the main plot of this book, the climax, I feel like was resolved really easily. Like they got off a bit scot-free. And when I looked at the next book, I realized it was going to be about a different couple. And I was sort of like, oh, like we're not going to continue their story. I feel like there is room for it. So I would rewrite this one. And I'd probably burn Insurgent. There's really nothing that I can remember about this book. I don't care. The first book's great. Love Divergent. Insurgent onwards is pretty meh for me. We're not talking about Allegiant because that book deserves to be in a dumpster fire. Oh, that book deserves to be in a dumpster fire. But this, yeah, that's it, besties. All right, round 3. 1, 2, 3. How perfect. Okay, book number 1 is Does It Hurt by H.D. Carlton. That's a good book. We have Deep End by Ali Hazelwood. A lot of water theme at the moment. And Beach Read by Emily Henry. This is hilarious because all 3 of these are like water themed. Let's go get them. Alrighty, so we've got our 3 books here. So the first one that we pulled was Does It Hurt? This is by H.D. Carlton. This is a dark romance, and I mean very, very, very dark romance. This follows Sawyer. She basically like steals the identities of all the people that she sleeps with. When we open the book, she's in Australia and she sleeps with this guy called Enzo, who is this sexy Italian shark trainer, and she steals his identity. He actually finds out about it. He sort of like clues onto it, and basically he decides to play a little bit dumb to get back at her, and he says, why don't you come out on my boat, we'll go for a nice day together. There's basically a huge like storm. They get shipwrecked and they're stuck together on this island where there's only like a lighthouse, and there's this really weird guy who is not who he says he is, and the book sort of goes from there. This book was crazy. That's what I was sort of saying to you guys. There is that water element, and if you know, you know. Then we pulled Deep End by Ali Hazelwood. This is actually a very beautiful arc that I was sent earlier this year, well basically in January. We're only in February, bestie. This basically follows the romance between a swimmer and a diver. It is set in college, and the diver, she has basically just had like a really bad injury over the last year, and she's been trying to sort of, you know, recover and work up the courage to get back on the board. And then her love interest is Lucas, who is a Olympic swimmer, and basically the two of them find out that they both love BDSM. And then we had Beach Read by Emily Henry. Funnily, we've got 2 Emily Henrys in this video so far. This follows Gus and January. They are rival authors who end up sort of living next door to each other again on summer vacation. We know Emily Henry likes to write in summer. They're both in these like beach houses next door to each other over the summer. They both have like a writer's block going on. So they decide that he is going to write a romance book and she's going to write a sci-fi. They like swapping genres, and they take each other out on like these cute little dates to spark inspiration, which is sweet. So, this is hard because I don't want to burn any of these. I really hope soon we get some ones that I don't like so that I can start burning some stuff. I think I'm gonna have to burn Deep End. Like I said, I don't want to burn any of these, but out of the three, it's probably the one that I enjoyed the least. I sort of had a problem with this book around the middle. The beginning was really strong and the ending was sweet, but I felt like the problem that I had with this book is that the BDSM didn't really match like this cute college sports romance vibe that we were going for, and I kind of had an issue with that, so I would probably burn Deep End. I would like to reread Beach Read because when I read this book, I was enjoying it, but I had like a massive quote spoiled for me, so I feel like when I got to it, it was super anticlimactic, and I just didn't enjoy the book as much as I wanted to. But I think like if I had to reread a book by Emily Henry, it would be this one, to sort of see if my opinion would change if I just went into it without thinking preconceived notions and things like that. And then I guess I would have to rewrite Does It Hurt? I mean, I really liked this book. I don't know what I would rewrite, but I guess it's a bit of a cop-out because I just really liked it. It's the only one that I couldn't put into a category, okay? It's the only one I couldn't put into a category. Okay, what's this? Round number 4. Oh, we have one jumper. 1, 2, 3. So book number 1 is The Spanish Love Deception. God, we're getting some old ones today. We have Daydream by Hannah Grace. Ooh. And we have Love Unwritten by Lauren Asher. Interesting bunch. Interesting bunch. Let's go get them. Alrighty, these are our 3 books. So the first one that we pulled was The Spanish Love Deception by Elena Amas. This is definitely like a Booktok early booktube staple. This follows Aaron and Lena. They are like workplace rivals. She needs a date to her sister's wedding in Spain and he agrees to do that. So it's again that like workplace rivals, fake dating, single bed trope. Wholesome. Then we had Daydream by Hannah Grace, which is the 3rd book in the Maple Hills series. This one follows Henry and Hallie. It's sort of like that sweet college romance Tudor style vibes. And then we have Love Unwritten by Lauren Asher, which is book 2 in the Lakefront Billionaires. This follows Ellie and Raphael. It is single dad and the nanny type of vibes, billionaire, which is very sweet as well. Now, this is hard because I didn't necessarily like any of these books, so there's none that I would immediately say like, yes, I want to reread that book. But I think I would like to reread The Spanish Love Deception because I think I talked about this in another one of my videos. This was like a book that everybody used to like get back into reading a few years ago. So when I read it, I rated it quite high. So I think I would like to reread it now, you know, 2 or 3 years later, having all this knowledge of the other books that I have read to see where it stands and if it holds up. So I would reread it for that reason. I would really like to rewrite Daydream. I think that this book was super rushed. I've spoken about this one as well a lot of times. I just think that like Henry lost so much of his character that we had known in the previous 2 books, as even though he was a side character, I feel like his character changed dramatically in his own book. And I felt like the dynamic between our main couple was just so similar. I feel like there's nothing that they would learn for each other and I was just so bored. I would definitely give this book a little bit more love and tweak a few things. That's not to say like you can't have a couple that are super similar. That's not it. It's more that like I feel like there was no stakes and no reason for me to be wanting to know what was going to happen next. And I'd probably burn Love Unwritten. I do not think about this book at all. Like I really don't remember why I liked it so much. I only read it like halfway through last year and I honestly, like, other than the fact that I think they go on like a little trip to Hawaii, I don't know what happened in this book. It's also ridiculously long. It's obscenely long. So I'd probably just burn it because again, I really don't care for this book. I love the first book in this series, well, Love Redesigned, but this one just fell super flat for me. Is that round number 5? I hope so. I did this last time and I just lost count of where I was at, so I hope we get some goodies this time. Okay, 1, 2. Oh, we had 3, 4. Okay, book number 1 is On the Way to the Wedding, which is a Bridgeton book. We have Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. That's interesting. And we have Twisted by Emily McIntyre. What an interesting bunch. Let's go grab them. Alrighty, so we have our 3 books. So the first one that we pulled was On the Way to the Wedding. This is part of the Bridgeton series. This is Gregory's book. So this is like the 8th and final book in that series. This follows Gregory and Lucy, and it's basically, again, this like she's engaged to another man. He wants her. Gregory Bridgeton is like the most unhinged of the Bridgeton men. Like if you know Bridgeton and you think that ABC are like unhinged, wait till you get to G. Like he is a crazy man. Yeah, that's sort of all I can say about that one. Then we have Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. This one follows 2 like rivals who work at the same like news company, like newspaper company, and they basically have these 2 magical typewriters that are connected, and they've been like conversing with each other for months, and neither of them realize that it's their like workplace rival. And finally, we have Twisted by Emily McIntyre. This is part of the Never After series. This one is an Aladdin retelling. So you have like a Jasmine and Jafar. So you've got Julian and Yasmin, I think it is. And this one is an arranged, like forced marriage, and the tension and everything is so delicious. This is my favorite book in that series. So that's a bit of a tell. So I would definitely reread Twisted. As I said, it's my favorite in the series. I just devoured it. I feel like it just had like the stakes, the tension, the like hate of it all. Like they couldn't stand each other, but they were forced to be together, and it was so much fun. I would probably burn Divine Rivals. I actually enjoyed Ruthless Vows so much more. I think, and I've said this a few times when I talk about this series, the real hero of the series is actually the romance. The plot is super lackluster, super boring. So I would, like I said, if I can still read Ruthless Vows, I'd probably just drop this. And I guess I'm gonna have to rewrite On the Way to the Wedding. I think again, there's a few, like considering I've read all of these books and Bridgerton's like my favorite thing ever, I think this is probably like the least memorable out of all of them. It's funny because it's obviously the one that I would have read like the most recent because it's the, you know, the last one in the series. I feel like if I think on all of the stories, I can somewhat tell you a plot point from each of them, and this one is not. I do remember that I loved it, but I could not tell you anything that happened in it. So I think I would like make some tweaks to make this a tiny bit more memorable, you know what I mean? All right, round 6 I think we're on. I hope. If not, oh, we got one jumper. There we go. I'm gonna try and dig to the bottom because I feel like we've got some goodies in here that we're not letting out. Okay, 2, 3. So first up we have Heartstopper Volume 3. Oh my God. Then we have When the Moon Hatched. And finally, Haunting Adeline. Eee, this is a good one. Okay, let me go grab them. Alrighty, these are our 3 books to pick between. So the first one I pulled was Heartstopper Volume 3. You guys know, you can see the leaves behind me on my wall. Heartstopper is one of my most favorite things in the entire world. This is Volume 3. It follows a class trip to Paris. And of course, there's a lot going on with Nick, Charlie, and the entire gang. Then I had When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker. I'm gonna be so completely honest with you guys. Cannot remember a single thing about this book other than I think it follows assassins and there's dragons. So yep. And I cried. I remember crying. And then we have Haunting Adeline, which is the first book in the Cat and Mouse duet. This follows Adeline Riley, who is an up-and-coming author, and she also has just inherited this manor from her great-grandmother Gigi. And basically, as she's like moving in and whatever, she ends up finding like this painting that is covering a hole in the wall, and inside the hole there is a diary, and of course that diary ends up belonging to her great-grandmother Gigi. Adeline starts reading the diary and starts to realize that her grandmother had a stalker, and it's a stalker that she ended up falling in love with. And of course, to sort of flip that into our story, Adeline starts to realize that history is repeating herself because she has caught the eyes of none other than Zaid Meadows. So I would burn When the Moon Hatched, and here's why. Now don't come for me, I know this is such a beloved story, but I have so many mixed feelings about this book, and I've said this a few times when I speak about it. I think I'm too dumb for this book. It was just very high fantasy for me. I remember getting so emotionally attached to the little paper bird called Nee. I have a t-shirt with it on it, and I cried, all right? I cried about a few things in the book. I was just about to drop so many spoilers. I cried a lot, but I think the overall plot and the world building was too complex and too heavy for me. I remember when I finished the book, I was crying, but I had to go on TikTok and have somebody explain the ending to me because it was just very confusing. So yeah, burn, sorry. Will I read the next one? Probably. I would reread Heartstopper Volume 3. I absolutely love this series. I actually don't think that anybody should be rewriting or doing anything to this series. It is perfection as it is. As I said, holds a lot of nostalgia for me and it's just perfect. So rereading this bad boy. And I think I would rewrite a tiny little bit of Haunting Adeline. There are a few triggering themes in this that I think are pushed a bit too far. But that being said, you guys know that Hunting Adeline, the second book in the series, is one of my Roman Empire books and I love it so much with everything in my entire heart and soul. But I think the first book we definitely could make some tweaks to, especially like some of the explicit content. I still love it, but I actually think the hero of this book here is actually that mystery with, as I said, Adeline's grandmother, Gigi. I'll be so real with you guys. I am just lost. I don't know where we're at in terms of how many rounds we're at. But you know, I don't know where we're at. 1, 2, 3. I want some books that I didn't like. Okay, first one is For the Fans by Nyla Kay. We have Caraval by Stephanie Garber and Heartless by Elsie Silver. Oh my god, such good books. Oh, this is gonna be so hard. Oh god, let me go get them. So I just realized that I actually don't have one of these books because I read them on my Kindle, but the first book that I pulled was For the Fans by Nyla Kay. I read this on my Kindle last year and this is basically a very, very, very taboo college romance between two stepbrothers. Now, just so you guys know, the two stepbrothers are both adults and they met each other just before starting college. So it's not like they've sort of grown up together or anything like that. There's no blood relation. Basically, the both of them are starting at the same college and halfway through their first like trimester or whatever it is, their parents sort of pull them aside and say, look guys, our business is going under. We can no longer afford to send you and sort of, you know, pay for your college tuition. So we need you guys to either like pull out of college or get a job. And one of the brothers, Avi, is sort of a regular on an adult website where you can post videos of yourself as, yeah, you know what I'm saying. And let's just say the two of them team up and do the videos together to get some money, and it's so crazy, but it's so good. Then we have Caraval by Stephanie Garber, another one that I read last year, and this is probably the most like beautiful and vivid young adult romantasy series ever. This book follows two sisters. We have Donatella and we have Scarlett. So Scarlett has always been absolutely obsessed with Caraval and she's always wanted to either participate or watch the game. It's sort of like this magical game that happens once a year and it's controlled by this guy called Legend, and every year there is like a different prize or I guess like stakes to playing the game. And she's been writing to Legend for a really long time to sort of get him to, you know, like I said, either bring the game to them or to participate. And one year he finally writes back and he says that Scarlett can bring herself and her intended, her fiance, it's like an arranged fiance, to this isle and they can participate in Caraval. However, when Scarlett gets to the isle to play the game, she realizes that her sister that she ended up bringing with her is now missing and is part of the game in Caraval, which is really interesting. So I loved this very much. And then we have Heartless by Elsie Silver, which is one of my favorite books of all time. It's the second book in the Chestnut Spring series and it follows Cade and Willa. So we do have like a grumpy single dad and the nanny trope. So Cade has a little boy called Luke and he is looking for someone to be the babysitter, I guess, over the summer so that he can get some work done. And he ends up hiring his brother's fiance's best friend, Willa, who is a wild firecracker, larger than life. He thinks that she's going to be a terrible influence, but he ends up hiring her anyway. And I just love this book so much. It's literally not a joke. So I will reread Heartless because I will never ever change a single thing about this book. I want to reread it again, like as if I'd never read it for the very first time. That didn't make sense. As if I'd never read it / want to read it again for the very first time. It's just so cozy and wholesome and sweet and sexy and funny. Yeah, favorite book. One of my favorite books of all time. Oh, this is hard, guys, because I love all three of these. How am I going to burn these? Oh, I guess I'll have to rewrite Caraval, but funnily enough, you guys, think I liked Caraval the most out of all three of the books because I like Scarlett and Julian. But I'll rewrite it to some extent. I mean, I'll find something that I didn't like, but I did like it a lot. I don't know, maybe I'll rewrite it to add some things to make it a 5-star because I think I gave it a 4.5 star. And I guess I'm gonna have to burn For the Fans, even though I love this book so much. It was crazy. It's an insane book. It's definitely one that I think would get like banned in the 1800s if it was around. It's very, very, very crazy, but unfortunately it's just gonna have to go in the bin. I'm very sad about it. All right, I think we'll do 2 more. I've honestly, like I said, completely lost count as to where we're at. Let's just put these over here because it's annoying me. Okay, 2 more rounds. 1, 2, 3. Good one. 3. All right. Book number 1 is Keeping 13. Oh my God. Book number 2 is An Offer from a Gentleman. We're getting Bridgeton today. And Red, White, and Royal Blue. Oh my God. Okay. Oh my God. Oh my God. So many good ones. Red, White, and Royal Blue, An Offer from a Gentleman, and Keeping 13. Oh my God. Okay, let me go get them. Okay, this is such a good stack and I'm low-key so scared. I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings or my feelings. Okay, so we've got these 3 books here. The first one we pulled was Keeping 13. Now this is actually my most recent read that I finished. I just finished this book yesterday and I cried my entire eyes out. Again, can't tell you what this is about because it's book 2 in a series, but it does follow Johnny and Shannon. They are both high school students at Toman College. Johnny is a very popular rugby player and Shannon is sort of the shy new girl at Toman College, and there's a lot of heavy topics in this that made me bawl my eyes out. I really did. Then we have An Offer from a Gentleman, which is Benedict Bridgerton's story. This is a Cinderella-inspired retelling, so you have Benedict and Sophie. Sophie is basically in that sort of situation where she's got like the evil stepmother and the 2 sisters. She sneaks out one night to Violet Bridgerton's masquerade ball, and Benedict is basically infatuated with her love at first sight, and they sort of share a kiss, and Benedict then spends the entire, or like the remainder of this book, trying to find her and figure out who she is. And we have Red, White, and Royal Blue, which is one of my favorite books of all time. I've said that a lot today, but this is truly like in my top 2. Somebody asked me the other day, like, what's my top 3 favorite books of all time? I could only think of 2, but this was in this one. It was this or Romancing Mr. Bridgerton. This book follows Alex and Henry. So Alex is the first son of the United States and Henry is the Prince of Wales. They do not like each other. They're like very much enemies, rivals, and they're both at this royal wedding one day. They get into a physical altercation and they destroy a $75,000 wedding cake. So they basically sit them both down and say, you guys need to pretend or show the world that you are friends with this like fake Instagrammable friendship. And the book goes from there. Guys, this is so hard. Okay. Rereading Red, White, and Royal Blue because it is perfect to me. This is like, honestly, if I could recommend a book for any single person to read without any preconceived notions of the book, like, please read this book. I literally could shout it from the rooftops. I've actually recommended it obviously so many times on my platform, and the amount of messages I get daily on my Instagram, my TikTok, everywhere of people telling me they read this book and loved it just makes my heart so warm because it is a perfect book. And I have reread this book many times. I'm sure I will reread it again this year because I actually didn't reread it last year, weirdly enough. It's perfection in my eyes. This literally hurts my soul. I can't burn either of these. An Offer from a Gentleman is my 3rd favorite book in the Bridgerton series, and there are 9 Bridgerton books, okay? So that's pretty high up on the rung. Guys, okay, only because I can think of things that I would rewrite about this book, I'm gonna rewrite Keeping 13. I'll talk about this book more in my like monthly reading wrap up, but I feel like I actually enjoyed Binding 13 so much more than Keeping 13. Do not get me wrong, I cried my absolute eyeballs out at this book. I had like snot coming out of my nose. It was disgusting, right? But I was crying at probably like this point onwards the rest of the book. The first 30 to 40% of this book, it just felt like low-key kind of repetitive. I was getting a little bit bored. Gibbsy truly is like the redeeming grace of this series and I can't wait to get to his book. But the reason I love this book so much is whenever we focus on the family and the family dynamic, I'm talking about Shannon's family, the Lynches, right? That to me is the absolute hero of this book. I wanted more of it in this book, but I still loved it and you'll see what I rated it later on. And I guess, painfully, I'm gonna have to burn An Offer from a Gentleman, which sucks because I love this book. It's great. I am very excited for season 4 of Bridgerton, but I'm sad, you guys. I have to burn it. I would like to do a reread of this before the season drops. If anybody did see, I have to show you because I just... Look at Colin and Penelope with their baby. Look at that baby! Like, be for real. I was at a friend's house over the weekend, as I told you, and we were doing like a Galentine's thing. It was 3 a.m. We'd like finished The Hot Chick. If anybody's watched The Hot Chick, Oh my God, I love you. We finished this and I was like, oh, I'm just gonna go on Twitter. And they had that like Valentine's Day event again and they dropped this photo and I was like trying to keep my composure because look at that baby. Look at that baby. Anyways, so sorry, offer from a gentleman. It has to go. I'm so sorry. We'll see how this goes. We might do one more. 1, 2, 3. Alrighty. We have The Fine Print by Lauren Asher. We have 1,000 Boy Kisses by Tilly Cole. And we have the Wicked book. I'm terrified. Let's go get them. Okie dokes. Our 3 books are here. I think the first one we pulled was The Fine Print. This is by Lauren Asher. It's the first book in the Dreamland Billionaires. This follows Rowan and Zara. So basically Rowan has been given, or he's inherited, this park called Dreamland, which is sort of like a Disneyland, from his grandfather. It's in like a will, and basically in this will the grandfather has left him a task to revamp this place because it's just not doing very well. There's not a lot of joy and fun. So he's basically said that his grandson needs to revamp this this park, this, you know, this theme park. So he ends up opening up the floor to his employees and it lets them like submit a proposal for how they would bring some more light and fun to Dreamland. And one of his employees, Zara, ends up submitting like a drunken proposal one night and he accepts it. And it's this amazing like boss employee grumpy sunshine romance that I absolutely love. Then we have 1,000 Boy Kisses by Tilly Cole. This follows Rune and Poppy. This is a very heavy emotional romance, so please be aware before you go into it that it's just very sad. Very, very, very sad. And basically it's like a childhood friends to lovers type of vibe. Rune moves to the United States from Sweden, I think it is, or Norway, with his family. They become really close and then one day he has to go back for his father's work. A few years pass and when they do return to the States, both Rune and Poppy are very different people and they're both harboring new secrets. And then we have the Wicked book by Gregory McIntyre, which of course is what the musical was stemmed from and now the film. And if you don't know, Wicked is the story of the 2 witches of Oz. We have Elphaba and Glinda. Elphaba is the infamous Wicked Witch and Glinda is Glinda the Good. And this is their story of how they met and their background, and I love Wicked a lot. Anyways, I would burn this book. I'm so sorry. It was bad. It was bad. Like it was, I don't know how to say it to you guys. The book is not it. So I did say this when I was actually sent this book, and I did say this in my review. If you love Elphaba and you want to know more about her backstory, I think you'll love the book. However, if you do not want to taint the musical and now the movie that is out, please don't read this book because it's super dark and it's just a lot. Like it's very kind of odd, and I very much wondered as I was reading this how somebody grew Wicked, like the original stage show, from this, because it is just worlds different. So as I said, read this if you like Elphaba, you want to know more about her, but I think it's definitely a book that you can skip. I would reread The Fine Print. I loved this book. It was my first 5-star read of 2023 and it was just a good time. I had a lot of fun. Terms and Conditions is my favorite book. It's book number 2 in this series, but this one still was a super strong 5-star and I would love to reread the whole series again. And I'd probably rewrite 1,000 Boy Kisses just to make me cry less, because you know, I was crying from page 16 onwards. You know, we could have just let that be a bit of a gradual slow burn. Like let me at least have a bit of fun in the first 15 pages. No, 15 pages in till the end, my DNA's in the pages. And I would never reread. That's why I didn't choose this as the reread. I would never reread this book, even though I think everybody should read it because it will teach you so much about your life and about yourself. But this is the saddest book I've ever read. I stand by that statement. Alrighty, you guys, that is all for today's video. Thank you guys so much for sticking through all the way to the end. If you did, I really, really appreciate it. Have you guys read any of the books that we did today? Would you like swap the order, I guess, in terms of like the little trios we had? Would you burn the ones that I might have reread or rewritten? Let me know. As always, you guys, if you aren't already, you are more than welcome to follow me on TikTok and on Instagram. I'll leave my handles on the screen and in the description box. And if you'd like to, you can like this video and subscribe to my channel, and make sure you are hitting that notification bell, that way you're notified each time a brand new video goes up. If you guys want to see a part 3 for this video, please let me know. I really love doing them. As I said, I've got a whole jar full of them that I need to work through. So let me know if you'd like a part 3. Thank you guys so much for stopping by again. I really, really appreciate it. Wherever you are in the world, I hope you are having a lovely day or a lovely night, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.